Hello everybody, this is going to be a quick video on how to use MIDI effects in Ableton to create sort of like randomly generated MIDI workflow. So it's not this sort of algorithmic, but without using any Macs or anything like that, just using MIDI effects. And actually we will use one Mac's device, it's optional, which is the LFO. For those that know me, it's like my favorite device. I use it for everything, really, really good. So let's get started. What we're going to do is we're going to start off by creating a MIDI effect rack with an arpeggiator, which is going to drive our random melody generation. I say melody, we're going to try three things here. We're going to try chords, drums, and a melody or a bass line. Okay. So what I'm going to do first of all is load in an instrument. We're going to start with maybe a pad of some sort, I reckon. Let's go into our pads and have a listen to what we've got here. Let's go for that apex twist, sounds pretty tasty. Okay, so if I go ahead and arm that and I click record, you can hear that it's just playing the same note over again at 1/8, so that's at 8th notes, okay? Turn that up a little bit to say 1/16. Now what I want to do is, in my MIDI effects, I want a random note generator. So for every note that arpeggiator creates, it's going to randomly change it chromatically. So if I put it up 100% across one octave, it's going to randomly generate between all 12 semitones. Okay, so let's have a listen to that. Very cool, but doesn't sound that great. We want to be able to scale that to something that makes sense, so like the C minor scale, for example. So to do that, I can use the scale the scale MIDI effect. And down here, I've got this huge drop down list of scales that I can use. So let me try, what should we go for? Let's try the Locrian mode. Let's be posh. That sounds pretty cool, but there's a couple of notes I don't like in there. Let's just pop that down a bit. These here, I don't like those notes. Let me get rid of them. Lovely. Straight away we've got a really nice kind of thing going on over it. But we don't really want this to be an arpeggiator how it is. We want to go with chords. So I'm going to add one more MIDI effect, which is the chord up here. I can choose what kind of chord we're going to have. It doesn't really matter too much because we're going to be scaling it. The scale is going to come after these chords. Let's just for now go for a major chord and see what this is sounding like. Nice. So we've got these triad chords, but they're scaled to the Locrian mode. So you can forget the major really. It's just in terms of the intervals between the notes. We're in Locrian mode. Now, I'm probably going to want to turn the rate down here because we're doing chords. Say 1/4. Maybe even less than that, 1/2. Lovely. So what I want to do is I'm going to make a quick MIDI clip here that's just going to constantly drive this, because currently I've got my finger constantly held down on the keyboard. I can just enter this so that it does it for me. I'll give it a longer length, 4 bars. Let's just hear that. Okay, that's the wrong octave. Let me pop it down to C2. There we go. So this is our output. And it's different every time. So what we want to do is find a way to record clips containing this MIDI information so that we can find our favorite generations and record them. So what I'm going to do is have a second MIDI clip, MIDI track up here. Now I want to hit the record button because we're going to be recording from the MIDI from this track number 1. So I'm going to call this chord generator. Okay. And this is going to be my chord recorder. And I'm going to set my MIDI from chord generator. So I can't enter any MIDI myself into track 2. It's just going to listen to what's coming out of number 1 and it's going to record it. So if I go ahead and test that straight away, so I click record. You can see the chords coming in. Just like that, I've straight away got one generation of chords. Very nice. But I don't want just one. I want to try, I don't know, 10. Let's try 10. So what I'm going to do this time, we're going to make a what I call a dummy clip. Now, there's nothing dumb about it. It's a very smart little trick. So I want clips of 4-bar length. So I'm going to set the length of this dummy clip to 4. Now we're going to have to do something a little bit different here. We're going to use the launch setting. So in the bottom left corner here of the clip view, you click that, and it opens up this launch section. Now if you just look down here where it says follow action, here we can add some behavior to a clip. So situation where we play a clip, and when that clip finishes, it triggers something else. So that could be triggers the next clip or the clip before or a random clip. But whatever happens, it's going to do it when it reaches a certain point. Now currently it's set to 1 bar. Now even though our length is at 4, you know, if I did it currently, it's going to go to the next clip after just 1 bar. So I want to set that to 4 so that it goes through the whole 4-bar loop. And I want to set the behavior to next. So that's going to wait for 4 bars after each clip, and it's going to trigger the next one. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate that a few times. So I've got all these blank clips that have all got that same follow behavior. Now, this is where the magic happens. What I can do is if I can click play, and because it's listening to the MIDI here, and we've got a MIDI from chord generator, if I just hit session record button, then it's going to start inputting all of this information in. So let's have a look. So this is our first one. And you can see that it's moved on to the next clip. So at this point we're getting like mass producing chord progressions basically. Really nice sounding this. It can be a little bit hit and miss when I'm doing these videos because you spend a long time trying to get things perfect sometimes. But then it just works out. That's nice. Okay, we'll let this one finish and we'll call it there. Lovely. So what I could do now is I can probably delete this track. I've got all of these nice clips here that I like. So I'm going to delete my arpeggiator, and not my arpeggiator, the clip driving the arpeggiator. And I'm just going to turn this entire MIDI effect rack off. So it's not being affected by it anymore. And I can just shift these clips over here like that. Now I can hear them all individually. So let's check them out. So that's a really strong one, I think. They're all nice, to be fair. Do you know what? Because they're all so lovely little chords, I'm going to do something with the follow behavior again. So I'm just going to go into one of these clips and I'm going to select all of them. Instead of the next, I'm going to switch it to any. So now it's just going to randomly switch between these clips because I like all of them, to be honest. I don't feel the need to choose the best one. I have a feeling they're all going to work quite nicely, whether they're in whatever order. So I'll just leave it like that. So if I click play, it's just going to randomly choose between these clips. So it's going to trigger this one next, and then it's going to be number 4. Lovely. Okay, so now let's check out how we would go about doing this for drums. So I'm going to start with my MIDI effect rack once again. I'm going to have an arpeggiator. And I'm going to have a random. And I'm going to get a drum kit from the drums over here. Now what I want to do ideally is pick a drum kit that's quite like percussive but hasn't got too much like big loud noises like kicks and snares and stuff, because if it's going to be randomly generated, like kicks and snares generally have a bit of a pattern to it, whereas hi-hats and bleeps and bloops and stuff like that can be a little bit more random. So I'm going to pick it carefully. Just pick something that's sounding nice. Can't really find an example now. Let's go for this glitch kit. So first of all, let's have a listen to how that's going to sound if I just hold one note down. So I'm arming it. So currently we can't hear anything. Oh, we could there. Now it's because I need to get my octave right. If you have a look just down here where my mouse is, you'll notice that it's triggering a lot of notes that haven't got any drum sounds on there. So I can use the random over here to determine that, to change it. So I'm going to use pitch just here. So I can give it a kind of offset on the MIDI notes. So I'm going to do -12. There we go. So you can see the generations now are within the right octave. Cool. Now that's sounding good, but I want a way of generating rests. I don't want it constantly to be playing notes. Now one way that I can adjust that is to mute any drums that I don't want to hear, because then what it will do, in place of those drums, it will just have a rest. So what I might do is just play through them all. So I don't want the kick. The kick's going to be too intrusive, so I'm muting that. Tweak's good. That's a little bit too much. Same as that. That too. I don't really want anything like pitched. I'll get rid of that snare. Okay. I think that should be enough. Let's just have a listen to how that's going to sound. So yeah, you can now see it's missing out a lot of these drums, leaving us a bit of a rest. Let me just pump that rate up a bit more. Cool, sounding good, but I still want a little bit more of a rest. Now what I could do is put the scale up, which is going to say, right, you can use more than one octave. So it's going to activate more notes that don't have any drum samples on. So I've put that to 2. So that's across 2 octaves now. Let's have a listen to that. No, that's a bit too much. I could change the number of choices. Number between 12 and 24, maybe like 17. Sounding pretty nice. 20, is that too much? Yeah, sounding nice. Okay, cool. Now there's one more thing that I would like to do, and I would like to modulate the rate of that arpeggiator. It's constantly going out at 1/16. It'd be nice if it could switch between, say, 1/8 and 1/16, something like that. So what I'm going to do is go into my Max for Live, and I'm taking this LFO here. This is the best device ever. I'm going to pop it at the end here, and I can map this to anything. So I wanted to modulate my rate. Now if I play that, it's going to sound ridiculous. So we don't want that. What we want to do is find a way to reduce the amount of modulation, the depth, and have it more just switching between 2 different rates, not loads of them. We don't want crazy fast drums or anything. So I'm just going to put the depth all the way down. I'm going to link this to our BPM. And I'm going to put it on the square wave. Now the reason I've gone for square wave is, if you look at this visualization of it, it's essentially on and off, right? There's 2 values that it's switching between in a regular oscillation. Now that's great, because if I have a look over here at our arpeggiator, you can see it's now switching between 2 options, 1/32 and 1/8. Now that's great, but it's 1/32 is going to be too much, I think. Let's just listen. I think it would be better if we put the depth down a bit, and we're just going to use the offset to choose exactly where it is. So now it's at 1/24 and 12. Have a listen to that. Let's just do it one more bit, and that should be, yeah, 1/16 and 1/8. Cool. So now I think maybe I'll turn that choices down a little bit. Yeah, nice. So now we've got this situation where sometimes the notes are coming out at 1/16, sometimes they're coming over at 1/8. So we have a little bit of rhythmic variation. One more thing I could do just to spice this up a little bit is I could use another LFO to modulate some of the transposition of some of these sounds. So let's find a hi-hat kind of sound. Ooh, what have I done? Let's go for that one, tweak. So I can go into my controls and I've got the transposition over here. I'm going to unmap that. Okay, cool. So that's now randomly choosing the transposition of that, and I can map that to a couple of things. So maybe I'll go to that one as well. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Unmap. So I should have arranged this before, really. There you go. So you should be able to hear those kind of nice little pitch modulations going on now. Maybe I'll do it in one more. This one here, over here. It's a nice thing about the LFO is once you've got something that works, you can map it to everything. You don't have to use a different iteration for each one. Yeah, nice. Let's hear that in the context of the chords. Nice, sounding cool. So, like I did earlier, I can set up another MIDI track. MIDI from kit, glitch kit, arm it. Need to make a clip over here that's just going to keep this spraying out. So, give that a length of 4. Cool. I'll keep that triggered. And I need my dummy clips. So, length of 4, follow action 4, follow action next. Yep, completely empty. And yeah, I just want to duplicate that. I don't need so many, that's more than enough. And yeah, once again, I just click play. One thing I will do first is I want to add a bit of velocity, just to get this a little bit more dynamic. Currently, it can be a little bit robotic. How's that sounding? Lovely. Okay, I think that's ready. So we're going to go ahead and click go. You can see all the drums coming in here. I could change this in real time if I wanted to. Let's turn up the rate of the modulation a little bit. Okay, I regret doing that. So we've got 3 here that work really nicely. So same as last time, I'm going to delete my original clip. I'm going to turn off all my MIDI effects. Yep, like so. And just shift these clips over. Now, what I would normally do if I was making something from scratch is I'd quite often name this. So just say I really like this one. I could name that best. I would delete the ones that I didn't like. Maybe I would say this is for the transition, for example. But to be honest, once again, I like all of this. So I'm going to do what I did last time and just set them to random. So any. And it's just going to, yeah, switch between them. Now, what I'm going to do here, before we go into the melody or slash the bass line, is I just want to add some sort of like randomly generated drum loop. So we're going to give it a little bit more oomph. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be a bit naughty and I'm going to copy and paste this entire MIDI effect rack here. So I'm just going to switch over like that. But this time I'm going to get something for my samples. I'm going to go for a break. I could use anything here really. Preferably something that suits the sort of like IDM vibe. That could sound quite good. It's already quite glitchy. Cool, so I'm going to drag that over here and it's going to immediately put it in a simpler for me because Ableton knows what we like. I'm going to add it to slice mode so that we can slice it up, and straight away this should be sounding pretty cool. That's here. Oh yeah, I need to change my MIDI to all ins again. Cool. That's sounding pretty good. Again, get my LFO out, put it on the rate. In fact, once again, I can just copy and paste that so that I don't have to faff around with getting the settings all perfect. Hopefully. Yep, great. So I just want to remap that to this one. Nice. Cool, that's sounding cool. That's sounding really good. Just want to adjust that a little bit so that I can get it. Yeah, I just want that depth down a little bit more. At 132 is a bit too much. Yeah, there we go. That's sounding more like it. Now I could go really crazy with these LFOs. I could say, right, let's get a beat repeat and just have a hell load of LFOs modulating all different parts of it, you know. Oh yeah, first maybe I want to get my velocity on again like I did earlier with random. Give it a little bit of dynamic interest. Like that. And what was I going to do? Oh yeah, so I'm going to randomly, there we go, every 1/16, use this to change the interval of a beat repeat. I'm just going to go a bit wild at this point. That's fine. I'm going to go change the grid, change the variation amount, the gate, pitch, pitch decay. Okay, so this is probably a little bit mad, but let's just have a listen to how it sounds. I can adjust this a little bit. Cool, I'm happy with how that's sounding. I'm not going to go through the whole process of recording it again. I'm just going to have a standard clip over here. It's just going to repeat over and over again for me. Made it a little bit long there. And I will need to get that on the appropriate place. Lovely. Now what I could do here is use the random scale and change it up a little bit, because if you have a look, it's just randomly generating numbers on like the first octave, and we've basically got like 4 octaves here. So on random, I'm going to set my scale to 4. There we go. Got a bit more variation going on, haven't we? If I wanted to be really crazy, I could get this LFO and chuck it on the transposition of my break as well. Yeah, we're getting some really crazy sounds now. What I'll probably do is just chuck an EQ8 with a high pass filter on it, just so that we can get rid of any of the really bassy stuff. Lovely. Now finally, I want to add a melody or bass line. I'm not quite sure yet. So let's go for a MIDI effect rack, arpeggiator, random, velocity. We're just chucking, we're going crazy on this one. Getting all of it going, getting a note length. Oh no, we've done that already. Scale. Now we want to pick. This is important because we used a scale earlier for our chord generator. We want to make sure that we use the exact same one. And it's not good enough to just take the same preset from over here because I changed a couple of the notes. Remember, I took these two out here. So I'm going to take the Locrian mode and copy it and just paste it at the end of my MIDI effect rack, like so. Okay, now I want to get an instrument in, obviously. So this time let's go for some sort of synth lead. Yep, try that, that sounds alright. And let's hear that. Try it as a bass. Cool. Sounds pretty nice. Let's record it. Okay. I can just sort that like here. I think that's going to sound better. Yeah, that one's going to sound better, I think, as a high pitch. So yeah, I can just chuck my pitch on over it. Go for 12, maybe 24. Lovely. Now, yeah, LFO. You already know what I'm going to be doing here. Let's try, because this one's been working really nicely. Copy and pasting the one for the rate. Chucking it here. Just want to adjust it. Once again, same drill as earlier, really. You know, 1 to 12. It's just quite hard getting it perfect sometimes. Maybe that would do. Now, turn up the rate a little bit. There we go, that's what we're after. Probably turn that echo off, to be fair. No. And just a little other things in terms of like the sonority of it. This isn't really anything to do with MIDI, but maybe I want, you know, just a standard LFO on the cutoff to keep things a little bit tastier. Yeah, that's fine. Give it a bit of resonance. And I'm probably going to get like one more on the random. And I can chuck that on my note length. Now I'm going to be getting sort of like different, you know, gates on the MIDI. So sometimes it'll be a long note, sometimes it'll be a short note. Let's have a listen to that. 1/16. There we go. Lovely. So same drill as ever. 4, 4. Next. Spam it. Record. MIDI from. All around echo. Record. I'll show you a funny trick actually. If you don't want to wait around, like I keep on doing, I keep on having to wait around. What I could do is I could actually put the BPM to something ludicrous, 400, right? Because it doesn't matter like what we hear, it's going to sound stupid, but MIDI data, you know, it scales with the BPM. So if I just go ahead and click record here. It sounds horrible. Even I'll admit that. Okay. But now if I go back to 120 or whatever we were at, and yeah, I'm going to turn off my MIDI stuff, delete my MIDI note and just move these over. And yeah, I should probably turn off the follow effects. Okay, so now I can have a listen to these back. So even though I played it at like 400 beats per minute, it still recorded everything perfectly, you know, very nice. Because we've got this note length thing going on, there's potential that we could do a nice little glissando situation. Where would it be? On pitch, glide. Yes. Now because the note length is constantly changing, this glide's only going to happen occasionally. Really nice. Let's hear that in context of everything. Sounding great. Now I just want to do a few last little bits here. Now not everything has to be generative when you're doing something like this. You don't want to be caught down like, oh, everything has to be random. The bass line I think should just be fixed because it's going to give it a bit of structure that it needs. So I'm just going to get just a normal sounding bass. There we go, that's fine. I'm just going to record bass line by myself. So I'll work it out first. You can see I'm a little bit out of practice because I get MIDI effects to just do everything with it for me. Yeah, I'm just going to do something like that. There you go, sounded pretty nice. Cool, maybe I'll add some random sounding, nah, that's enough, isn't it? Come on. One last thing that I guess I should show you is that you could automate the generation of these notes. So for example, what I could do is create one more MIDI effect. I'm going to get a scale over here and just say I go, we're in the minor, aren't we? Wait, what was it on? Where's it gone? Why can't I find it? There we go, Locrium. So what I could do is, now that I've got all of my melodies fixed, I could stick a scale at the end of it again, another scale. What happened? Oh, oops. There we go. So what I'm going to do is turn this on. Just keep everything off except this new Locrium. Okay. Seeming a bit weird what I'm doing here, but don't panic. I'm going to do the same for anything else that's pitched. So I'm going to do the same. My bass line. Not bass line, my whatever you call it. And turning all of this stuff off and adding just one extra over here. And finally, I'll do one for my bass as well, which is a little bit harder to add. Yeah, there we go. Paste it in there. Okay, so now what I can do is I can automate where it says bass here to get different different key change. So for example, just say I was really happy with how everything's sounding, like this. I could now switch that over to G, for example. Switch all of them. So that's G. G, and G, and it's going to scale everything up to G. So we hear it again. Now all you need to do, if you wanted to, is you could automate that within clips, and before you know it, you've got a whole generative, multi-key, multi-chord progression piece of music. Really nice stuff, really nice stuff. And I haven't really touched it in terms of all the potential you can use the LFO for. You can use it for so much stuff. Just wanted to give a quick sort of demonstration. I could be here all day. So if anybody wants to see more like this, please let me know. Get in touch with any video requests or any questions on any of this video. But for now, I hope that's helped. Do use the MIDI effects, very cool. And using scale, it's not just completely random, it sounds really nice as well, as you can hear. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye bye.